Welcome to the Seeds of Light, everyone. This is Astrology Hub show dedicated to illuminating the path of parenting using the power of astrology. I'm your host, Ana Zaharia, and I'm here with evolutionary astrologer, herbalist, holistic healer, and columnist for the Yoga Journal, Cameron Allen.
Hey,
So glad to be back with you, Cameron.
same. I'm glad to be back. Hey, everybody. I hope everyone is doing amazing wherever they're at. So, yeah, I'm glad to be here.
Awesome. So we are going to continue our series. We're super close to finishing our supporting your zodiac sign child series. We're just 2 signs away, and today we're talking about how to support your Virgo child now and always. So I'm just really grateful to you, Cameron, for taking all of these weeks that you have in order to keep coming back to the show and build this beautiful, resourceful series for parents. And I feel like it's been really wonderful to, of course, focus on the children through the lens of astrology, but also to explore these fundamental qualities to the zodiac signs that enables really all of us to understand ourselves in maybe a new light and see ourselves through a new lens. And it's been really fun for me to be on this journey with you. So thanks again.
Yeah, same here. Thank you so much because I just feel like so much more of the time since we've been doing this podcast, I've been becoming more of a child like every day. Like, it's like I'll do something and I'm just free and like I can like feel the glimmer in my eye and somebody just is you're such a child. Like people have been saying that even more. So it's been beautiful and yeah, I'm just so appreciative.
It is. It's such amazing medicine when we can really reconnect to the child within all of us. And I do feel that exploring through this lens of the zodiac signs really helps tune into those innate qualities in all of us that can help us reconnect to parts of ourselves that maybe we've been disconnected from. And I also wanted to tell all of you that if you haven't been tuning into the entire series, you can easily catch up. Instead of Netflix and chill, you could do a Seeds of Light and chill. You can go to astrologyhub.com/Seeds of Light. That's our show page, and you can find all previous episodes on that page. You can also find them on YouTube or on your podcast player or wherever it is easier for you to explore our content. It's available to you there. And we're also working on an article series. So for those of you that want to just read and enjoy consuming content in that way more than sitting down and watching a video or listening to a podcast, that's going to be coming out soon as well. So Cameron, supporting your Virgo child. First and foremost, what is the highest expression of Virgo?
I think the highest expression of Virgo is wisdom in its purity. Because a lot of times with Virgo energy, people talk about, you know, details and paying attention to details. Well, I feel like sometimes people pay attention to details so much that they're like losing their innate wisdom. So I think it's wisdom. And I think also a good way to say it's not just wisdom, but it's just like the wisdom that is the part of wisdom that is discernment. Being able to see how things are working and not working and just make the choice, right? Make the choice what food is good. What do we get the harvest from? So discernment and wisdom in that way.
And just to make sure that I heard you right, did you say wisdom and purity or wisdom in its purity?
I would say they can both play together depending on one's experience and to just tune into both and like how that feels, because I think it can be both. it's purity and wisdom put together in any combination or form. So that's what I would say. Yeah.
Okay. And how can we encourage this highest expression of discerning pure wisdom in our children?
Yeah, I think the first thing to do there is to learn about what shame is and try to learn how to cultivate your child's ability to not feel ashamed about things so that they can move forward and make adjustments as necessary. Because when they feel like they can do that and allow themselves to blossom forth, then they don't have to, what they say about Virgo, overanalyze things. So I think, yeah, I would say that it's really important in our society. I think as adults, we need to do it too, because there's so much shame on this planet. It's just like we all can be doing the work to purify that. And if we purify that, then all of us will probably work together better with like pure wisdom. So yeah.
And what's a healthy way of teaching what shame is?
I think there's just so many ways, and I always let things be emergent. However, I would just start Googling it or going on YouTube about shame and then learning about it in that way, and then digesting as much information you can about it and try to implement it as you continue to learn it and embody it yourself. Yeah. So going back inward and like trying to figure out what places you feel shame and stuff like that. And then that'll just blossom forth into your everyday experience with everyone you're with. And it's helpful to know the condition that we're in. Like, even just the idea of like nothing against anyone who is Christian, but Christianity, a lot of times they talk about like sin and stuff like that, and people feeling like they're not good enough because of that, like that myth, you know? So I think being able to identify that as well and observe what is judgment and why do you feel judged and should you feel judged? You know, those are all things to look at internally so that when you move forth with your children and young people in general, you can be helpful and not even allow the space for shame to come in because you don't have it inside of yourself. So yeah, that's it.
Is there a tendency for Virgo to feel shame?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Even just through over analyzing and feeling doubt, I feel like sometimes that leads to shame, and also just the conditioning of the trying to Taurus. And at Taurus, we're learning like foundational values. And if we get foundational values that don't align with the way we actually are internally, then we internalize and digest things in a certain way at Virgo that make us feel uncomfortable and like something's wrong, you know, because Virgo is a lot about digestion as well. So being mindful of that too with the Virgo energy. And when we have young ones and people who are adults as well, in this one especially, the body and the way it organizes things, and I say organize as in like a Mercury function, like the intelligence. So in Gemini, it's more, we might think of it as a heady intelligence, even though it's not necessarily heady, it's just information everywhere. With Virgo, it's the body. And the body does what it does, and it's more concrete and physical. So what we think as ideas, the body and the way that it organizes things and the intelligence of the body might not agree with it. So let's say if we eat GMO food, what does that do to the intelligence of the body, right? Mercury and Earth. What does that do? So yeah, that's a little bit more too.
Great. You know, I've spent some time in the past reading about the detrimental effects of shame and the difference between shame and guilt. Yeah. And actually at my son's last school, when he was in forest school, they did these little like parent teaching evenings once a month where they spent time with all the parents kind of sharing about the tenets of what they believed in the forest school and where those pillars came from, and educating us basically to be an extension of the kinds of things that they were teaching in forest school. Beautiful. And one of the things that we spent some time on was this idea of guilt versus shame. And it's really important when raising children because we are trying to teach discernment, and we we want the best for our kids, and we see them in we see what they are capable of, and we want them to be able to achieve that.
Yeah.
And I feel that, most of us, pretty much every human, nobody's been raised in an ideal way, right? Of course, no parent is perfect either. But we carry, of course, what we've been raised with, and then we need, as parents, to have a process around letting go some of the shameful shameful some of the ways that we were taught through shame, like letting go of our own shame, so that we're not using those same tactics or passing on the ideas of shame that we took on. But then there's also purely just the desire of, I want to see you be your best self. And rather than shaming you for not living up to that image of what I know that you can be, how can I teach you in a way that is actually lifting you up and supporting you? So one of the main differences of shame and guilt is that shame, there is something wrong with you. Guilt is that you did something that was wrong, and you can do it differently. So it's feeling sorry for a particular thing that happened, rather than feeling bad fundamentally about who you are. Yeah, is there anything that you...
Yeah, that's exactly what the digestion process is, because like that action that you took, are you taking that in? And then like, are you like making that you? So that's totally just about like digestion, how you internalize things from a psychological and emotional perspective. So that's beautiful reflection there. Yeah. And, something about Virgo too, to help be able to discern what you're internalizing as far as emotionally and psychologically, just putting our hands on our stomachs and closing our eyes and imagining each organ system and just breathing into that, remembering that Mercury is the breath, it is the lungs, and it's how our nervous system feels information when we're breathing properly and we feel nourished in that way. And it helps us just organize our digestive tract and our stomach, but it also allows us to see what we're internalizing so that we can process that, so that we can release it. And the release is over at Pisces, right? And that's like the letting go of like, oh, I did feel shame, and now I have compassion for myself, and it is all dissolving because everything's perfect in every moment because we're only perfecting. There's no need to project what perfection is. So yeah.
Great. So what are some of the other key attributes of Virgo?
There's so many. Yeah, I always keep coming back to digestion. One key attribute of Virgo that I think about too is like a artisan and somebody like working on their craft. So when it comes to working with somebody who has a lot of Virgo energy, it's just like, what crafts do they like? And keep giving them something to do that they can keep working on to get better at it and get better at it and get better at it and get better at it. So like perfecting things, I think, is a great attribute to know that they have as well.
Yeah, that's I get to see that in my little one because he has a Virgo moon. So I see this side of him, both the side that I don't know where this comes from. I mean, this is like the amazing thing about astrology, is that I can totally see the side that can shame himself, where he tells himself, I'm never going to be able to do this. Like, basically, I don't have what it takes in order to do this. And that, like, very strong self-critical inner voice that, I mean, as far as I can tell, I have never shared those kind of programs with him. But, there is that desire in him to perfect and to and to be a master of things.
Yeah.
And with this idea of working on the craft, I can see he has like such a deep emotional process with making sure that he's working away at things. And it comes back to his sense of self of, am I good enough in order to do this? And when I do it, I feel strong in myself, and I have self-confidence. And he has this love of dinosaurs. And as both me and his dad and everybody else in his life has continued to nurture just his love of learning about dinosaurs, I've gotten to see this side of him as well, of just like getting into all the nooks and crannies about everything there is to learn about dinosaurs, and just perfecting the way that he says the names of all the dinosaurs and all of the little details that are available to him to ingest about dinosaurs and what there is to know. He is hungry for it. So yeah, it's been, again, I know I've shared this before on the show, but it's been a really wonderful learning process for me as an astrology student and enthusiast to learn about Virgo through him, and to see how Virgo can show up.
I love that. Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah, something else about Virgo too is a lot about service, so like being helpful to other people. So just being mindful to, yeah, just help everyone, just really everyone, anybody, when is it of service to say no? When is it of service to say yes? Right? That's really important, because sometimes a lot of people just make a broad assumption that saying yes is being of service, and that's not true, right? So we have to be mindful of being able to give people discernment in that way too.
Hmm. Beautiful. Is there anything else you want to add to the key attributes of Virgo?
Yeah, I think also with Virgo energy, it's oftentimes about humility. So just like being mindful of like the way that you see what is humble, and then also somebody feeling humiliated, like being mindful of like where humble and humiliation begin and end, and just teach about that and learn more about it and like experience it in yourself. So I think it's important that we all be humble, and but only in context to like Leo. I know how great I am, so I'm humble about it, and I balance the two, Libra, right? So being able to teach that, like even as a teaching to young ones, is just a beautiful way to, if we are going to project, which we all project in every single moment, literally, right? We can own that projection, that like I'm giving someone a discernment to see that you can be great and you can be humble. You just got to balance it out. So
Hmm.
yeah.
I can't tell you how much of a theme that is with my little dude and trying to teach him, because he has such a huge, like, teeter-tottering spectrum of, I'm either like, I'm failing and I'm never going to be good at this. That idea of like, there's something innately wrong with me that will not allow me to do this because of my frustration of not being able to do it in this moment the way that I want it done.
Right.
I know it can be done. And then on the other side of the spectrum, when he's feeling really good about his accomplishment, of like just totally boasting and being like, I'm the best at this. And of course, trying to hold all of that very lightly and gently, because I understand that it's part of his process, and I would never want it dim, his celebration of himself. And most of the time I just allow it and I hold space for it, but I don't chime in with a lot more. I just I let him have his celebration. But as he's getting older, I'm starting to play with, yes, you can be the best. And in order to be the best, you have to stick with it, and you need to keep practicing. You totally have it in you in order to be the best. And then my partner is really good about teaching him about being a graceful both winner and loser.
Yeah.
Because when they play games, he's just so emotionally invested in being the best. And so if he wins, he'll boast about it. And so we're just trying to teach him to be humble and winning and making sure he's not making anybody feel bad. Of course, this brings in a lot of Aries and Libra themes as well. But thank you for bringing that piece in. So aside from what we've discussed as we've explored some of the key attributes, are there any additional challenges that you want to bring to light?
I feel good there. Yeah.
Okay.
Or I mean, just being mindful about like taking people out in nature. All the earth signs like have to have nature, and it's very tactile. So being able to like get into the mud, so to speak, and like be able to do stuff and just be out in nature and get dirty, because nature doesn't need to be purified in the way that we think it does on some level, right? So it's like that purification thing is like we think everything has to be so pure in a certain type of way, in which we lost our connection with nature. And if we lose our connection with nature, then we don't have discernment to begin with, and everything else we're talking about is already off. So yeah, just get in nature and allow dirtiness to be present, and know that that is perfect and that is fine. And we'll make adjustments and purify after. We'll go take a shower. See, like it's all good. So that type of thing. Like just having someone young know that in their body, tangibly, it would be a really great thing to gift the world moving forward. Yeah.
So would you say that Virgo's sometimes tendency to be like kind of disgusted by dirt or by bodily fluids or specific things that are obviously very natural, is that a derivative of the disconnection from nature in the first place?
Yeah, 1,000%. Yeah, I think that's completely it. And I think on some very fundamental level, as an archetype on the whole planet, people who have the Virgo energy, when sometimes they feel like something's wrong, it's because something is wrong. We're disconnected from nature. So something is wrong in that way, but there's nothing wrong with us. There's something wrong with the way that we've gone with man-made conditioning and left what was already perfect because we thought something was wrong, but everything was perfect. Yeah.
And where does Virgo's attention to detail come from?
Analysis of like, I think the body. So just thinking about the body and how much information is like organizing and moving around, and we're not even paying attention to it. I think that is the function of Virgo. So it's just being able to see like piece, and how it's supposed to be actually flowing or going together. Energetically, that's what it is, like on a tangible level. So even being able to take a deep breath and feel my shoulder to my arm or my hands, like the details of that, feeling that's where it comes from. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I just burst into a little laugh there because you reminded me of just the other day, my son, we were laying in bed in the morning before going to school, and he's like, Mom, have you noticed that certain things in the house aren't working?
Wow.
Like, I don't know, baby. Like, what are you talking about? And he's like, well, I noticed that drawer won't close. And then there's a drawer downstairs with the handle where the handle is like starting to fall off. And he just made this list. And it's wonderful. How would you say, how would you use that innate attention to detail in a way that's like healthy, and how would you encourage the blossoming of that in a way that feels healthy and supportive in a child and not critical or stressful, which I know that it can also kind of slide into?
Yeah, definitely. I think I'm all about giving a spectrum. So just like saying from like making a list and being able to see something versus like digesting it and being like over analyzing and being critical of everything that it's creating too much stimulation. So just making different steps or layers in there and just asking. So if I had 5 things to say about it, it's like, am I over here and am I being too critical? And am I stressing myself out and am I overstimulating myself by seeing everything? Or am I over here paying attention and also noticing things and allowing it to just be perfect as it is? And just like finding where your child is on that spectrum and then helping them get to the middle and asking them questions so they can learn how to think about it rather than telling them what to think about it.
Great. So I'm going to do a little summary. Virgo, in its highest and purest expression, is the expression of wisdom in its purity, and wisdom as it relates to discernment. And a big piece of encouraging this in your child is helping them work with shame and being mindful of how shame is showing up for them, where they might be feeling shame, where they might be taking on shame, and helping them release those ideas that the things that they're taking in are a reflection of who they are rather than the things that they're doing.
Right.
Another important attribute of Virgo is digestion and the taking in of information, and then bringing in that discernment in order to digest information and figure out what's important and what's not. Having this attention to detail that we were just talking about, I can see that being really closely related to digestion as well, because it's about figuring out what's important, right? And what needs to be eliminated. And there's also this beautiful body intelligence that comes with Virgo. So making sure to encourage your child to connect to their body, to be mindful of what they're taking into the body, what they're eating, what they're interacting with, in order to keep their vessel pure. And then this tendency to grab on to the idea of purity and perfection, that's something to be worked with as well. It's a beautiful quality, but it can also slide into some of the less ideal expressions. So one of the ways that you can work with that is just making sure that your child's getting out in nature and having a direct connection to the natural world so that they can learn what is truly pure, but can look dirty, right? Like just getting in the dirt and allowing them to get dirty, and then having the process of taking them into the shower and cleansing their bodies, but also understanding that there's nothing impure about any of that process. And there's also the quality of the artisan, the archetype of the artisan that's available in Virgo, because of the attention to detail, because of the desire to perfect things and work on their craft. So just helping your child tune into what they really love and what they're really driven to put all those hours into in order to perfect their craft. Just as a little side note, deciding what might be a good thing to be a craft for your child, if there is no innate desire there in them, it's not going to bring out the same beautiful quality of the artisan in a Virgo child, because that innate passion and drive needs to be there from the love of their particular craft. And then you also brought in service, the quality of service being something really important in Virgo, and a natural quality that they express. They want to be helpful and they want to be contributing, and also the connection to staying humble and having humility is very connected to this idea of being in service as well. It sounds like having your child maybe involved in things like community service, or having them involved in your chores at home is a great way to feed this particular part of them. I personally am doing that with my little guy. I always try to bring him into some of the chores that we have in the house on a regular basis. And I will say it's not something that he's always excited about, nor does he naturally jump at it when something comes up. Like if he wants water, most of the time it's, Mom, I need water. So I'm like, sweetie. Well, first of all, what's one way that you might ask that might feel better for me? And then other times it's, well, sweetie, those are, you know where the cups are and you can go get some water. But what I found with him is that he feels so much better when he's actually able to be of service. So even though he doesn't necessarily always go to, I want to be of service, when he is of service, he really enjoys it. And I can see that it really feeds him. So we have games that we play where we shoot laundry baskets, and it means that we're putting the laundry in either into the dirty laundry basket, or he's helping me get it into the washer or get it into the dryer, or he'll help me load and unload the dishwasher, and or helping me cook meals, and he's the one that's chopping all the carrots. And yeah, it's always such a rewarding experience for him, even if sometimes I have to like wrestle him into it in the beginning.
Nice, I love it.
And he, he's 5.5 going on 6. So of course it's going to be different for each age range. But as a parent to a child that has strong Virgo energy, I would definitely encourage finding ways to help them be of service. Is there anything else that you want to add to all that?
No, I love all that. It's good for children. I feel like the Virgo archetype on the planet, though, we all really, really, really need that one. I feel like it's super important for all of us to tune into that. Yeah, all of it is, of course, we all have inner child, but this one specifically is really important.
Thank you, Cameron.
Yeah, appreciate you.
For everybody that wasn't here with us in the beginning, I mentioned making sure to go to our show page at astrologyhub.com/seeds of light. And you can access the entire treasure trove of previous episodes there. So if you want to tune into the other archetypes or even other topics like your child's your child's Venus sign and what that means about them and how they love and what they value, or your child's moon sign. We've covered a lot of territory on the show in the first few months that we've been airing. And you can find all of them at astrologyhub.com/seeds of light. And you'll be able to learn more about Cameron, me, get access to more resources like the free guide to your child's moon sign that you can download on there if you haven't gotten it yet. And you can also submit your own question to be answered on the show. You can even include chart information, and you could be selected to have your question as a topic on the show in the coming weeks or months. And that's free. You can do it all on the page right there. And if you love Cameron's approach and you love receiving insights on the cosmic energy ahead, make sure to join us and 6 other astrologers for our annual special edition solstice panel. That's happening on June 3rd. Cameron's going to be there. He's a part of this amazing crew of astrologers that also teach for us in our Inner Circle membership. But this is a free event for everybody. And you can sign up right at astrologyhub.com/solstice panel to receive your seat. And to close up, I just want to say thank you, everybody, for tuning in. If you found this helpful, please make sure to share it, like it, leave a comment. If you know somebody in your life who could really benefit from this, please just send it to them. And make sure to subscribe to our podcast on your favorite player and on your YouTube channel if you are on YouTube. Remember, when we change the world, when we change the way that we raise our kids, we change the world. See you next time.